Hello, everybody. Championship Wrestling AEW coming live from the shadows of Memphis, Tennessee. Myself, Excalibur, joined by Dave Brown. And Dave, golly, what a card do we have here for you tonight?
We've got a great card here on AEW Dark tonight. On tonight's broadcast, we've got a singles match. One fall, 20-minute time limit. DARBY ALLIN versus Brandon CUTLER.
That's going to be a good one.
Then a women's singles match. One fall, 20-minute time limit. Native Beast Nyla Rose versus Shanna.
A lot of bad blood there, Dave.
And then a tag team match. One fall, 20-minute time limit. Sean Spears with Tully Blanchard and Peter Avalon versus Austin and Billy Gunn.
The father and son connection, the Gun Club.
Yes, indeed.
Well, this is going to be a firecracker of a show. Tony and Dasha, let's get things underway.
Thanks a lot, Excalibur. Great to have everyone with us this week on Dark, where not only will we have great AEW action, but we will celebrate the Memphis wrestling legends, Tony Schiavone and Dasha Gonzalez. For many, many, many years, Channel 5 Saturday mornings in Memphis was must-see TV with professional wrestling. And I know you weren't around for that, but like all of us, you remember the wrestling in Memphis and all the great legends that went through there.
Absolutely. It was incredible to be there in the arena in Memphis, to be able to witness those that are still alive and the family members of those that have since passed. But the arena was electrifying.
It really was. And one of the members that have passed, of course, is Lance Russell, who was the great play-by-play man for Memphis Wrestling. His son with us as well, and we'll be seeing from him in just a moment.
That's right. And now to continue our honor of pro wrestling in Memphis, let's go to AEW's ring announcer, Justin Roberts.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, a USWA champion, a 7-time Southern champion with 56 years in the wrestling business, who wrestled in Memphis over 4 decades, starting in the 1970s, and 6 decades overall. He is the trainer of Hangman Adam Page. He is handsome Jimmy Valiant. Next, representing his brother Brian Christopher, Kevin Lawler. Brian Christopher wrestled his first pro match in Memphis in 1990. He would proceed to hold the USWA Championship a record 25 times during the decade and held 44 titles overall for the company. As a kid, he dreamed of being a pro wrestler and following in his father's footsteps like his brother Kevin Lawler, and fulfilled it. Introducing next, the gentleman with a 53-year career in radio and television. He began in 1962 as a disc jockey and is a member of the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. He began announcing Memphis wrestling in 1967 and partnered with Lance Russell for 3 decades on air together. Lance and Dave are considered one of the most iconic announcing duos in wrestling history due to their length of time together, credibility with the fans, and highest quality of work. He spent 38 years as a meteorologist before retiring from full-time broadcasting in 2015. While he has called thousands of live matches in this region, later tonight will be his first time calling wrestling on national television. Please welcome Dave Brown. Here to represent his father, Lance Russell, please welcome his son, Shane Russell. Lance Russell is considered one of the greatest announcers in wrestling. Lance gave Dave Brown his start at WHBQ-TV. He began announcing wrestling in Bristol, Tennessee in 1955 and still called a match 60 years later in 2015. He was married 67 years to his late wife, Audrey, and was influential in launching the careers of dozens of major stars, none more so than Jerry Lawler. Lance Russell was a fixture on Saturday morning television for 3 decades in Memphis. Introducing next, a three-time Southern heavyweight champion who is a headline talent in Memphis during much of the 1980s. He was part of one of the most famous moments in Memphis wrestling history when he and Tommy Rich almost started a riot after shaving Jerry Lawler's head in 1987. His famous catchphrase was, "The women's pet and the men's regret." He has since become a personal trainer and motivational speaker while still remaining active in the wrestling business. Please welcome the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol. Representing the Gilbert family, Dangerous Doug Gilbert. Doug Gilbert debuted at the age of 18 and wrestled his first match in Memphis less than a year later in 1988. He would proceed to become a 5-time USWA heavyweight champion and 6-time USWA tag team champion with his partners Tony Anthony and Tommy Rich. He both teamed and feuded with his father Tommy and brother Eddie, as well as Memphis wrestling mainstays like Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, and Brian Christopher. He is still wrestling across the U.S. to this day, and we are very glad to have him here with us tonight. Please put your hands together for Doug Gilbert. Tommy Gilbert was the father of Doug and Eddie Gilbert, who was able to team with his sons during a 30-year wrestling career that began in the state of Tennessee in 1969. Soon thereafter, he was working in Memphis and defeated Don Fargo for the Southern Heavyweight title in 1978. He was also known as a tag team specialist who held the NWA Southern Tag Team titles on 7 different occasions. He wrestled across the United States and Puerto Rico and even reinvented himself in the 1980s with a masked character as both Freddy Krueger and Nightmare Freddy, inspired by the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Tommy's son and Doug's brother, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, was one of pro wrestling's most talented performers in the 1980s and 90s. He is remembered as a wrestling mind far ahead of his time, who was a 4-time USWA World Champion, holding tag team gold in Memphis with partners like Ricky Morton, Tommy Rich, and Brian Christopher. He ended Jerry Lawler's 39th run as Southern Champion by capturing the title for the first and only time in 1985. His most famous feud in Memphis was with Jerry Lawler, and at one point, Doug and Eddie even struck the King with their car. Eddie Gilbert was part of multiple factions in Memphis, including Jimmy Hart's First Family, the self-started Gilbert's Army, and the Memphis Mafia in the USWA. The Rock and Roll Express first began teaming in 1983 and are still going strong 37 years later, following in the footsteps of the Rock and Roll Express first began teaming in 1983 and are still going strong 37 years later, following in the footsteps of the fabulous ones, Steve Kern and Stan Lane. They would proceed to become even bigger stars thanks to the impression they made in Memphis, feuding with the likes of Randy Savage and Lanny Poffo, the Bruise Brothers, and the Galaxians. Ricky Morton's first match in Memphis came 40 years ago in 1979. Robert Gibson's first Memphis match was in 1976. They were 2-time USWA Tag Team Champions and 2-time AWA Southern Heavyweight Champions. Let's hear it for Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express. Introducing next, representing the Poffo family, Lanny Poffo. Lanny teamed with his brother Randy in Memphis in the mid-1980s with notable feuds against the fabulous ones Stan Lane and Steve Kern, the Rock and Roll Express, and Eddie and Tommy Gilbert. he meshed his gymnastics background with his love of poetry and the written word into his wrestling character. At the age of 65, he is still wrestling to this day. Lanny's father, Angelo Poffo, was a Navy veteran during World War II who set a world record for sit-ups with 6,033 in a 4-hour, 10-minute span. He teamed with both his sons Randy and Lanny in Memphis in the 1980s. By the end of his career, he had wrestled in 6 different decades across North America. Our final honoree this evening, Angelo's son and Lanny's brother, Macho Man Randy Savage. While his stay here in this region lasted less than 2 years between 1983 and 1985, before losing a loser leaves town match to Jerry Lawler, Savage is one of the most memorable performers in Memphis wrestling history because of what a spectacular performer he was. Savage was a 2-time Southern Heavyweight Champion and 1-time USWA World Champion, beginning 2 of those title reigns by defeating Lawler. He also feuded with the likes of Austin Idol, Adrian Street, and Dutch Mantell during his time in Memphis. At this time, I ask that you all please rise as we honor Randy Savage, Angelo Poffo, Eddie Gilbert, Tommy Gilbert, Lance Russell, and Brian Christopher by ringing the bell 10 times in honor of their memory. Thank you. And now let's hear it one more time for all of the legends of Memphis wrestling.
Some of the great names in Memphis wrestling history, such as Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express, and of course, we saw Lance Russell's son, and we paid homage to the great late Eddie Gilbert as well. Just some great names there in the ring.
That's right. I always love seeing the Rock and Roll Express. They're ready to party all the time.
Yes, they are.
But speaking of the legends, if I remember correctly, didn't Jimmy Valiant used to kiss you on TV back in the day?
You mean the Boogie Woogie Man? He was known to do that now and then.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
But let's get to our first match this week on Dark.
This contest is set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Approaching the ring first, from Rancho Cucamonga, California, weighing 192 pounds, Brandon CUTLER.
Singles action to start us off here on AEW Dark. Myself, Excalibur, of course, joined by none other than the legendary Dave Brown. Dave, it is my absolute pleasure to have you here tonight.
I love getting to introduce the opening of the show like that again. A great night.
That was phenomenal. The Memphis Legends were out in full force here in the Lander Center in Southaven, Mississippi, and perhaps we'll be seeing a couple future legends here in our opening contest as Brandon CUTLER set to take on Darby Allin.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this one right here. And CUTLER's from one of my favorite named towns, Rancho Cucamonga.
Rancho Cucamonga, California. It's not just something that Bugs Bunny made up.
That's true.
But it's we laugh, but Brandon CUTLER is actually still looking for his first victory in his AEW career. And he has a formidable foe across the ring, and none other than Darby Allin.
And his opponent, skating to the ring from Seattle, Washington, weighing 173 pounds, Darby Allin.
Darby Allin has quickly become a fan favorite here in All Elite Wrestling. And after they made Darby Allin, Dave, they broke the mold. There is nobody quite like this youngster from Seattle.
Looking forward to seeing him in the match here.
And Darby, we are in Memphis, so we have to talk about how there is such a great wrestling tradition in this city. There's so many people that think about professional wrestling as something pure. But when you were calling all those tens of thousands of matches in the studio here in Memphis, you saw a lot of youngsters. You saw a lot of people that were expressing themselves in what was, at the time, what seemed to be shocking.
Yeah, well, we saw a young kid come in. He wrestled under the name of Flex Cabana. Came up from Florida, fresh out of college. Turned out to be a pretty big star, I would say.
Bit, yeah.
The Rock.
Yes.
And that's just one story. There are many, many others like that. And it's always been gratifying to see the youngsters come in here, develop, and continue either.
Oh, look at this, Darby.
Oh, wow. Either continue here or go on to bigger and better things.
And Darby is, the important thing about professional wrestling is not only is it a great athletic competition, but it is a place for individual expression.
Absolutely. And, you take somebody like Darby, he's...
As strange as they come, I'll say it, don't worry.
Well, but he has to overcome a size advantage against most of his opponents, and tonight is no exception. He's given away a half foot and 17 pounds to Brandon Cutler.
Darby showing off his speed, almost with the roll-up, only a 2 count from referee Aubrey Edwards, and that is Darby's greatest asset. Well, one of his greatest assets, his speed, and then also his endurance, his ability to absorb punishment, and that's something that he's found to be important in facing off with bigger opponents for most of his life.
And that is something that is very, very important to become a successful wrestler. You got to be able to, you got to be able to endure.
Yeah, take those shots, and sometimes Darby is self-destructive in his attacks, but other times he's able to take his opponent's best shot, and that's, oh, look at that, Darby with a shoulder tackle, taking Brandon Cutler off his feet. Brandon Cutler goes for the trip. Darby goes up and over, as does Brandon Cutler with the leapfrog headbutt to the midsection. And now Darby with the front chancery, maybe thinking vertical suplex. Cutler, though, kicking his feet. This is where the size disparity comes into play. Darby floats over the top, ducks under Cutler's lariat attempt, and a drop kick takes Cutler off his feet.
Very nice recovery.
And Dave, Darby's ability to absorb his opponent's best shot, that's psychologically damaging for his opponent. If you know that you've got this one good one, if Darby's able to take it. Oh, look at this, Cutler, standing switch. Oh, comes down with the legs on the top of the head.
Goes for the cover.
2, only a 2 count. I think he was going for a body press, but Darby was a step further out. And so those legs, those knees, the shins of Brandon Cutler came down right on the crown of Darby's head.
I noticed Darby came in on a skateboard. I understand he's an accomplished skateboarder.
He is. He's a skateboarder and a professional stuntman. But that does not seem to be aiding him now, as Brandon Cutler really taking advantage of Darby Allin. Cutler doing a great job of picking his shot, finding his window of opportunity.
And happy birthday to him yesterday. He just turned 23 as we're recording.
That's right, Darby, one of the best young, hot prospects in all of professional wrestling. We saw in our January 1st edition of AEW Dynamite, he pushed Cody to very nearly another 20-minute time limit draw. Cody, thanks to the coaching of Arn Anderson. Oh, look at this, Darby laces in that back elbow, staggers Cutler towards center. Cody was able to come to the victory, but it was only because of the influence of Arn Anderson.
Yeah, that's a formidable team right there.
Oh, look at this. Cutler lays out Darby. Hook of the far leg. 1, 2, 2 count. Cutler hooks the near leg. 2 count again. And Brandon Cutler. Oh, look at this. Darby rolls him up to the crucifix. 1, 2. Darby maintains control of the arms, and now looking for that Fujiwara armbar, and look how he's bending the fingers back of Brandon Cutler. Such a vicious submission hold. Cutler needs to use his size to drag himself to that bottom rope, and he does. But Darby taking advantage of that full 5 count, and that's something that that he has to do. Every possible advantage.
Got to weaken that opponent the best way you can, and he's doing a good job of that right there.
And even if it means taking, looking in the gray areas of the rules.
Maybe.
It's not always black and white, but like the referee's shirt.
Good point.
Darby trying to bring Brandon Cutler back up to a vertical position. Darby still a little bit groggy from that moonsault. And now the hammer throw across the ring, reversed by Brandon Cutler. Cutler charges in. Darby sends Cutler up and over the top rope, throws a wild right hand. Cutler intercepts, comes back with a right of his own, steps over with the flying kick over the top rope. He has dropped Darby down to the canvas another time. We're not used to seeing Darby spending this much time on his back.
Yeah, that was a nice reversal by Brandon Cutler to get the advantage over Darby, and Darby is showing the effects of it, no doubt about it.
Darby's speed, as we mentioned, such a great asset to him, but Brandon Cutler doing a great job in neutralizing it. And now Cutler got Darby up on the shoulders in the backbreaker position, and he is just wrenching downward. But Darby isolating the hand of Cutler. Oh, look at this. Darby punishing the fingers, bending them backwards on Cutler. Able to drop the larger man. Oh, rapid fire shot from Darby. Headbutt to the midsection, rolls through. Code red by Darby. 1, 2. No, Cutler able to kick out.
I thought he had him right there.
The referee's hand a hair's breadth away from counting 3. Oh, we see Darby actually busted open over the bridge of his nose.
Yep.
And you have to imagine that's that blood flowing into his eyes, inhibiting his vision, even if it's a broken nose, perhaps affecting his breathing, Dave.
Oh, let's hope it's not broken. Maybe just a cut on it. But either way, something for him to be thinking about, and that's not good for him to have to think about that at this point in the match.
Yeah, we're not seeing that trademark explosiveness from Darby as he ascends to the top. Oh, gets his leg swept out by Cutler. Usually, he's got such a quick first step that he's able to just leap up to the top rope when he wants to hit that coffin drop, but he took his time. It was very laborious for Darby to climb to the top, and Cutler took full advantage of it.
You know, he needs a big recovery here because he's got a huge single match on next week's Dynamite against PAC in Miami. A victory there could push him back up into the singles ranking, so he really needs to get the victory here going into that match.
Yeah, pardon my French, the bastard Pac and Darby Allin squaring off on Dynamite, the first part of our bash at the beach. Oh, Cutler goes over the top of that guillotine leg drop. That week-long or 2-week-long event, the first part coming from the Watsco Center on the campus of the University of Miami, and continuing on to the Chris Jericho Rock and Wrestling Rager as we see Cutler going over the top, taking Darby, driving the back of his head into that ring apron. Darby, though, back up on his feet, and this is the resilience that we were talking about.
Great resilience.
Springs to the outside, comes in, and the speed now on display. Darby with that tope suicida between the second and third rope.
Cutler felt that one, I guarantee you.
And he was driven hard back into the barricade. Those unforgiving steel barricades. You can see Cutler coming up, clutching that left arm. And Darby, just like he was shot out of a cannon, colliding with Brandon Cutler. Those marks on the back of Darby, those concentric circles, or not concentric, that circular pattern is a cupping. It is actually a ancient Asian or ancient Chinese method of pain relief, a non-chemical, non-stimulant. It tries to draw the pain out of or draw the injury out of the human body, and it leaves those bruises. So that indicates. Oh, look at Darby going for the coffin drop. Cutler catches. That indicates that Darby was in some pain coming into this matchup.
Had to be, yes. And that could be the reason he has found himself in some difficulty here.
Yeah, Brandon Cutler has been close on numerous occasions to come away with his first AEW victory. Darby goes up and over the stunner on Cutler.
Huge mistake by Cutler there.
Yeah, Brandon Cutler came in and allowed Darby to gain the upper hand, and now the coffin drop. Darby covers. 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
A victory for Darby Allin.
Winner of this
Absolutely.
match, Darby Allin.
Dave, you have seen and called them all, but there are none quite like Darby Allin.
I would agree with that. I think this young man he's got the big match coming up in Miami next week, and I think we're going to see good things from this guy.
He's shown a lot of promise thus far in his AEW career, and now with a 500 record here, 1 win, 1 loss, Darby Allin looks to make 2020 his year. And he would love nothing more than another shot at Le Champion, Chris Jericho. But Dave, as you mentioned, he's going to have to go through the bastard pack in Miami before he can even think about that.
Big win for Darby Allin here on AEW Dark. But before we go to our next match, Dasha, let's talk a little bit about what we saw on Dynamite this past week when we were in Southaven, Mississippi, and Chris Jericho got his answer from Jon Moxley.
What did I tell you, Tony?
I know.
Jon Moxley's a man that cannot be bought. He had us on the edge of our seat the entire show. Yes, no, maybe so.
Swerve.
But at the end of the day, he plays by his own rules. And a smart man, he took the Ford GT.
Walked away with the keys. He's got himself a brand new automobile. All right, let's go to our next match, women's action here on AEW Dark.
This contest is set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from Washington, D.C., the native beast, Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose, one of the most intense, one of the most physical competitors in all of AEW. But, oh, look at this, Shanna! Shanna, the woman who was powerbombed through a table on multiple occasions by Nyla. Not even waiting for the introductions, not even waiting for their formalities, trying to get the upper hand on the native beast as she rams her into the barricade at ringside.
Yeah, surprise attack, trying to take advantage.
And Shanna now on the receiving end of that right hand from Nyla. Nyla, showing her ferocity as she drives Shanna into the barricade. And a lot of acrimony between these two women. It's been physical. Nyla did not appreciate how Shanna came into AEW and instantly won over the fans. Nyla has been working hard. She's been trying to do it her way, but her way does not make a lot of friends. Now, look at this, Nyla. Oh, she's trying to set her up for that powerbomb in the apron, but Shanna escapes. Oh, the hook kick catches Nyla right on the jaw. And now Shanna, this match still officially has not started.
Yeah, no bell has sounded.
And Shanna running it. Oh, Nyla just intercepts her in the spine buster on the outside. If the bell were to ring right now, you would have to imagine Nyla would be at a decisive advantage.
I would think so, because she has been able to overpower Shanna while they're outside the ring here.
And that's been the story of Nyla Rose's career here in AEW. Her power is second to none in the women's division. And when she loses matches, on the rare occasion, it's the technique shown by her opponent. She gets out-finessed.
This could be a problem. She was suspended for 4 weeks back in December after she powerbombed referee Rick Knox through a table and then powerbombed Shanna on top of him. And now she's got a table set up.
Looking to drive Shanna through another table. Nyla, she must own stock in Home Depot because she's breaking a lot of hardware here around AEW. Is now thinking maybe the powerbomb off the apron. Oh no. Nyla's got Shanna up, but Shanna escapes into the relative safety of the squared circle.
Wouldn't that have been interesting?
Very nearly a precipitous drop for Nyla Rose as Shanna now building up a head of steam. Oh, the spear through the table, driving Nyla down.
Bit of a payback here. Shanna's not too good a shape right now either after that.
And now the AEW Security, Atlas Security, attending both competitors. And look at this, take another look as Shanna Nyla tried to hold on, but Shanna, too much speed, too much velocity, drove Nyla down through the table. And Shanna getting some measure of revenge, Dave, but at what cost?
Exactly. Uh-oh.
And now the AEW officiating crew, along with Atlas Security, trying to separate these two competitors. I'm not sure we're going to see an official matchup here.
Yeah, all of this with no official match has begun.
And security officials trying to separate the crowd here in Southaven, Mississippi, the Lander Center, chanting, let them go. But look at this Nyla, she can't even get to her own 2 feet. And Shanna and Nyla Rose having to be separated by our referee corps and our security, and Shanna is still not done. Restore some order here and throw it back to Tony and Dasha.
Boy, you talk about wild action between the native beast, Nyla Rose, and Shanna. How about that?
They have a lot of animosity since Nyla Rose put Shanna through a table at their meet and greet. They met in the ring this past week, and we saw Shanna take the brunt of it all.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we do understand that Shanna has made her way back to the backstage area right now and is speaking with our own Alex Marvez. Alex, take it away.
We're here with Shanna, and Shanna, not once, but twice, Nyla Rose has put you through a table. You extracted a measure of revenge tonight.
Nyla's a bully. I've seen the way she treats everyone.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, Nyla, what are you doing?
Whatever I want.
We need some help. Nyla, what are you doing? We need some help.
Oh, what's this? Huh? Fan code of conduct, huh? Doesn't say I can't do this. No! Shayna, listen up, because you made this shit personal. Everybody needs to listen to what I gotta say. EVP is not gonna stop me. Shayna is not gonna stop me. Come on. Shayna, come on, stop. Break it up. I'm gonna kill you.
All right, Alex, thanks very much. Talk about an explosive situation between Shanna and Nyla Rose. How many tables will these two ladies put themselves through before they settle this issue? And the fact is, you know, it wasn't too long ago, Nyla Rose was suspended from AEW for using the table on a referee.
That's right, and not only was she suspended, she had to pay quite a hefty fine. But that's what I love most about Shanna. She doesn't give up, and she's not going to allow Nyla Rose to push her around.
All right, let's take a look at where you're going to see AEW Dynamite. This Wednesday, live on TNT, the beginning of AEW's Bash at the Beach. And it all starts at the U on campus at the Watsco Center in Coral Gables.
AEW Dynamite is coming to Cleveland at the Wolstein Center at Cleveland State on Wednesday, January 29th.
On Wednesday, February 5th, AEW Dynamite will originate live from the Von Braun Center in Huntsville, Alabama, our first trip ever to the state of Alabama.
Then Wednesday, February 12th, Dynamite is coming to the greater Austin, Texas area at the HEB Center in Cedar Park.
Looking forward to going back to the great state of Texas. AEW makes its debut in Atlanta on Wednesday, February 19th, the State Farm Arena.
Catch AEW Dynamite live in the Kansas City area at Independence, Missouri on Wednesday, February 26th. The event takes place at the Silverstein Eye Centers Arena.
Tickets are now on sale for AEW Dynamite in Denver. We'll be at the First Bank Center in Broomfield, Colorado, Wednesday, March 4th.
Then the following week, Dynamite debuts in Salt Lake City, Utah at the Maverick Center. Now this event will take place on March 11th. The New York Metropolitan Tri-State Area debut of AEW Dynamite will happen in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center on Wednesday, March 24th. Now tickets for Newark will go on sale Friday, January 24th at noon as well.
And don't forget our next AEW pay-per-view event. It's AEW Revolution. Saturday, February 29th at the Wintrust Arena in downtown Chicago. Our first visit inside Chicago city limits.
Now, you know the only way to join us at these live events and all AEW events is to go to AEWTix.com. But guess what, guys? It's time for our main event here on Dark as Peter Avalon and the self-proclaimed chairman Sean Spears take on the Gun Club of Billy and Austin Gunn.
This is a tag team bout set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Approaching the ring first from Orlando, Florida, at a combined weight of 476 pounds, the Gun Club, Austin and Billy Gunn.
Well, tag team action to close things out here on AEW Dark. And Dave, this is a very exclusive club, the Gun Club.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, Billy is one of the big, long-time celebrated tag team wrestlers, and Austin, this is only his 21st professional match. He's a rookie.
He's a rookie, but he is a highly recruited blue chipper that is now here in AEW, and he has shown that the apple does not fall far from the tree.
Yep.
Oh, Austin grabbing the microphone, looking to take a page out of Billy's book.
Yeah, the Gun Club just won their first.
Mississippi, how the hell are we? You know, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I had an idea rolling down that ramp, and I think we're missing one thing from this show. I think if we're loud enough right now, we can convince Pop to do his thing.
An offer they can't refuse.
Yeah, quite a smile.
Let's hear it, baby!
Big man, a little winded. Yeah. I think he's expecting to have to cut a promo. And Dave, as you mentioned, Gun Club did pick up their first victory on January 1st.
If you're not down with the Gun Club, we got 2 words for you.
Well, one of us will get that nugget of information out to the fans.
Billy's been at this for 30 years. Can you believe that?
Billy, a great tag team wrestler, as you mentioned, Dave, and also accomplished singles wrestler. Mm-hmm. But their opponents, one of the most formidable men in all of AEW.
Yeah, I will not allow anybody else to try and break me down. Nah, time to make a point, let them know that I'm the greatest around.
And their opponents first, being accompanied to the ring by legendary Four Horsemen member Tully Blanchard. From Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, weighing 227 pounds, he is the self-proclaimed chairman of AEW, Sean Spears.
And Sean Spears, at the behest of Tully Blanchard, wrapping that chair around the head of Cody all the way back at Fyter Fest and really changing his trajectory here in AEW. He was somebody that the fans loved. Now they love to hate him.
Yes, that can happen.
And with somebody like Tully Blanchard whispering in your ear, it's no surprise.
That's true.
Tully looking sharp in those cowboy boots, but
yeah, a little bit of coaching here.
Dave, this may be your first experience with the librarians, but they would like you to keep it down, please.
Excuse me, I said shush.
Somehow I think their request is going to be ignored.
We are in the backyard of Memphis, Tennessee.
It's almost like you've been around broadcasting and professional wrestling for a little bit.
Memphis is a town with a royal history. A place full of kings. Like Jerry the King Lawler, a Memphis legend. He has a restaurant nearby with food so bad it will give you a stomachache. You'll feel like you're dead on the toilet like another Memphis king.
Whoa. On Elvis's birthday, no less.
Ooh, yeah, that was uncalled for.
Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn and Son. I'm excited. Billy Gunn, and does that make you the ass boy?
And Leva Bates trying to plead with Peter Avalon. Asking for some decorum.
I apologize for Peter.
Oh, I guess that's it.
I guess that's it, yeah.
Well, Shawn Spears has been on a quest to find a new tag team partner, but Spears, we talked about that in Mean Streak, what he did to Cody with that chair and what he's been doing over the last few months in AEW. He's not won many friends around the locker room.
Yeah, I was going to say that does cut his possibilities of finding an acceptable partner.
And now teaming up with the winless Peter Avalon with a career win-loss record of 0-6 here in AEW. So Spears, I don't want to say scraping the bottom of the barrel, but definitely getting down there.
Yeah, definitely not cream of the crop at this point.
And now Shawn Spears and Billy Gunn set to square off, and Spears once again trying to rile up Billy Gunn, but Gunn, it's not his first rodeo. He's able to keep his composure.
You know, guys like Spears do things like that. I mean, stop and think just a minute. All you're going to do is make Billy Gunn mad.
Right, and what kind of idiot wants to make Billy Gunn mad? Gunn with the side headlock. Spears throws him off, but immediately is tackled down to the mat. Spears once again taken off his feet. And the bulk of Billy Gunn is just too much for Shawn. Spears getting an eyeful. Not a position I think Shawn Spears wanted to find himself in.
Not where he wanted to be, no.
And Gun Club, Dave, as we were trying to say earlier, undefeated here in AEW.
Absolutely.
Billy and Austin picking up their victory on a matchup on New Year's Day in Jacksonville, Florida.
And Shawn Spears was one of the opponents here.
That's right. Shawn Spears recruited Preston Vance to be in his corner, but Preston Vance, relatively inexperienced. He was a late replacement or late pick for Shawn Spears. And I asked Spears later, how did you pick Preston Vance? He said, I walked by him backstage.
Okay.
That's his criteria.
Well, I guess that was worth a gamble, but it certainly didn't pay off.
No, and I think now with Tully back in the wings, Shawn Spears maybe make a little more thoughtful choice.
True.
Tully Blanchard, of course, part of one of the great tag teams of all time, along with Arn Anderson. And he knows a thing or two about tag team wrestling. Who better to advise Shawn Spears?
Yeah, we talk about Arn Anderson and Cody making a formidable team. Tully Blanchard can make a formidable team of about anyone that he picks to coach.
That's right. I mean, if he chooses to take Peter Avalon underneath his wing, you would imagine Avalon's fortunes in AEW would rapidly reverse. And now, Austin Gunn, you mentioned his 21st match. I think he's spending a little too much time playing with the fans, especially with somebody so experienced as Shawn Spears.
Yep.
Saw him pay right there with that toe kick to the midsection. Spears lighting up the chest of Austin Gunn. A second one. Referee Rick Knox calling for Spears to pull Gunn out of the corner, but Avalon tags in. Just that right hand, that shovel hook to the midsection.
Got a knee there, too.
And now Avalon ratcheting up the intensity. And, you know, for Avalon, this is a bit of an audition. This is maybe his way to get Tully to take him under his wing.
True.
And Tully's such a great professional wrestling mind, but Austin Gunn, such a great professional wrestling talent, just floating up and over, ducking the clothesline attempt, hurdles Peter Avalon, and now the hip toss into the falling neckbreaker. 1, 2 count only.
Great anticipation there from Austin Gunn on a couple of those moves. And anticipation is so important so that you can counter what your opponent is trying to do.
And Dave, you called the action. You've seen so many father and son, second generation wrestlers, and it's almost like those instincts are passed down.
That's happened on more than one occasion that I can absolutely agree with, including one of the men we honored here tonight, Brian Christopher.
Brian Christopher, great second generation talent. His father, Jerry Lawler, of course, a legend here in Memphis. Peter Avalon had the temerity to run down his barbecue. But look at this Billy Gunn, his power on full display as he catches Avalon. And Leva Bates, a little bit of assist, pulling her fellow librarian down to safety on the apron. Avalon, diving cross body, takes Gunn off his feet, and barely even a 1 count there for Billy Gunn.
Yeah, it's not going to be that easy, I guarantee you.
And now Spears laying the boots in on Billy Gunn, the 2 most experienced members of this matchup. And Sean Spears pretty happy with his handiwork.
He is just intent on antagonizing Billy Gunn, isn't he?
And now Spears laying in the chop, and Dave, you're absolutely right. Now raining down those left hands to the crown. Crown of the head of Billy Gunn, and he doesn't want to give the crowd here in Southaven the satisfaction of laying in 10 shots. Billy Gunn taking advantage though, escapes, drops Spears face first on the top turnbuckle. Oh.
Vicious chops.
So heavy-handed, those big catcher's mitts of Billy Gunn. Yeah. Oh, another one. Listen to that chop echo throughout the Lander Center here.
Timeout he wants, huh? There's no timeout. That buckled his knees, though, when Billy Gunn hit him that last time.
Yeah, the pain from those chops, especially with somebody as heavy-handed as Billy Gunn. I mean, not only does it sting, not only does it drive the oxygen out of your lungs, but, I mean, it also does damage to your nervous system. It drops you down to your knees. Sean Spears on the receiving end of 2 elbows from Austin Gunn. But he held onto the ropes. Gunn threw that drop kick, didn't find his mark, and now Gunn, throws shoulder first into the ring post. Many people like to say that the apron's the hardest part of the ring, but in actuality, it is that post.
That post. Oh, and he's making use of it against Austin Gunn.
And that's the influence of Tully Blanchard. Tully, one of the most formidable minds, and the most devious minds in all of professional wrestling.
Good word.
Knows how to take advantage of not just every part of the ring, but every part of the ringside area. He is passing that knowledge down to Sean Spears, who's had something of a reinvention himself here in AEW. Cody referred to Spears as a quote-unquote good hand, and to Sean Spears, he didn't take that as a compliment. That was an insult.
Wow.
Good hand is, in Sean Spears' mind, somebody that will never be a champion, somebody that's, just there to fill out the middle of the card.
Well, I got the interpretation there, but we'll see, won't we? Peter Avalon here, taking over and working on Austin Gunn.
He's got that left wrist of Gunn captured, grabbing the hair and driving him back.
His hair.
Back down. Referee Rick Knox telling Avalon to lay off the hair. Rick Knox, our follicularly challenged official. And now, look at that. No tag was made. And that's some great heads-up tag team wrestling there.
It is, yeah. Referee's back was turned. He was trying to keep Billy Gunn out of the ring. And now, Billy Gunn trying to get the crowd into it. And he's doing it.
And you have to imagine Billy not only, his tag team instincts are kicking in, but also his fraternal instincts, or his parental instincts, are kicking in.
Gotta be.
Doesn't want to see his son on the receiving end of much more punishment. Spears with that drop to hold takes Austin Gunn down, and now those vicious cross faces. And you can see Austin Gunn's head just lolling back and forth as Sean Spears isolating one limb at a time.
Spears able to keep Austin away from that tag. He was just inches away, but just could not make it. That could be a very important thing as this match continues.
And Sean Spears doing a good job of conducting this match on the, oh, look, oh no! Austin Gunn with a desperation lariat taking down Spears. And look at Billy Gunn like a caged animal pacing back and forth. He wants the tag. He wants the tag, and he will get it. Austin makes the crawl, and Billy Gunn takes down Avalon. 2 consecutive right hands, a third that time for Spears. Billy Gunn, the one-man wrecking crew, sends Avalon into the ropes, boot to the chest, and Avalon, he tried to run, but the ropes were behind him, and he sent him back into Billy Gunn's power slam. Billy Gunn lays out Sean Spears, and the Gunn Club firing on all cylinders here. No pun intended, but Spears took advantage of that momentary distraction. And Dave, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, a moment is all it takes sometimes.
Oh, Spears sending Billy Gunn to the outside. Austin Gunn sent, oh, look at this, Avalon, 1, 2. Austin Gunn getting his shoulder up.
Left shoulder was up.
Step up, Enzi Gary. Austin Gunn on roller skates, very unsteady. And now Avalon, he's going for that martinis, but oh, Austin Gunn driving Avalon face first. 1, 2, no!
Oh, 2 count. Avalon was sensing victory immediately, and it didn't happen. But Austin was not able to quite hold him down for that 3 count.
But Austin Gunn showing composure beyond his years, beyond his in-ring experience. He's keeping the attack up on Avalon. Now headed up to the top. Oh, the leg swept out by Sean Spears. And Billy Gunn, I think you might have seen his chance for grandchildren go up in smoke. Rising uppercut from Avalon. He's looking for that superplex. But
Austin's got him blocked right now.
Yeah, now he's working on that left arm. He's got, oh, the headbutt staggers Avalon back, and now Billy Gunn lays out Avalon. Austin Gunn off that top senton atomico. Covers 1, 2, 3, and that is it.
Winners of this match, the Gunn Club, Austin and Billy Gunn.
Well, a tremendous victory for the Gunn Club. Billy and Austin Gunn, 2-0.
2-0, absolutely. And as you mentioned, quite a bit of promise there from young Austin Gunn.
And Tully Blanchard and Sean Spears back to the drawing board for them. Well, Dave Brown, I want to thank you very much for joining us here tonight on AEW Dark. To me, you're not a weather clown. You're a meteorological marvel.
I like that.
All right.
This has been fun. Thank you very much.
Dave, thank you so much. Folks at home, if you like what you saw here tonight, be sure to talk about it on social media. Hashtag AEW Dark. And we will see you next week.
So another week is done here on AEW Dark. How about that father and son combination of the Gunn Club?
I'm absolutely obsessed. I love the energy that they both bring, and I'm so happy that it carried on to Austin. But I mean, poor Sean Spears, still looking for a partner. Can't catch a break over here in AEW.
Looking for a partner for the self-proclaimed chairman of AEW, Sean Spears. Don't forget, AEW Dynamite tomorrow originates from the U in Miami. It's our first bash at the beach, and that's at 8 o'clock tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time. We look forward to seeing everybody down at the U.
Absolutely, but we'll see you guys tomorrow night on Dynamite.